Obviously, yesterday's election, and we'll get into the air quotes there, did not go how, I think I or maybe you ideally would have had it gone. And we'll get to the negative points. But there was one positive event, and that was Marie Newman's win over Dan Lipinski, which we have been sort of hoping for, rooting for some time now, but it was by no means something that was assured to happen. And in the end, even though she did win, it was still a close election. So this is Illinois' 3rd district, and Marie Newman ended up with 47.1% of the vote to Dan Lipinski's 44.8%. That is just less than a 3,000 vote gap. So that was close, but the fact that it was that close, I think, should reassure us that in these sorts of races, the hard work that we do is necessary. So Marie Newman won. Jessica Cisneros narrowly lost by just a couple of points. In both of those cases, it's just a few thousand votes. That's how close these things can be. And so, if you're taking part in volunteering, making calls, donating, all of that stuff for these sorts of races, it does actually matter. Sometimes it can very much be the difference. Just because it's such good news, I want to give you a little bit of what she had to say. She tweeted in response to the call being made yesterday saying, "I am bursting with pride and gratitude for the amazing coalition that helped bring about much needed change in our district. We're going to work together to lower healthcare costs, to fight climate change, and to build an economy that works for everyone." Now, bear in mind, this is the primary, but it's expected that she's going to win the general election, assuming we have a general election. Dan Lipinski back in 2018 won the general election by 48 points. So this is a deep blue state, and that's another reason why Dan Lipinski had no business holding this seat in the first place. In this blue of a district, you should have a hardcore, awesome Democrat that other Democrats should be working to emulate. And hopefully we will have that very soon. I'm gonna continue. By the way, I am seeing the super chats. I will go through and respond to some of those in just a little bit. Now, this is one of the races that groups like the Justice Democrats were pushing hard for, and we have a comment from the executive director of the JDs, Alexandra Rojas, who's been on the show numerous times. She said that this win sends a message to every Democrat incumbent that if you don't vote like a Democrat, you will be held accountable. And look, they have to be feeling pretty good. I mean, maybe not nationally, but in terms of these races, like, their support definitely mattered, definitely played a huge part in Marie Newman's win. And they just came so close against Henry Cuellar with Jessica Cisneros. So, like, nobody, I think, has said, nobody thought that it was going to be easy to elect a bunch of Justice Democrats, but they've been making great progress in 2018, obviously, and we continue to reap the benefits of that. And now, hopefully, we'll have some additional ones as well. So if this is a race that you weren't necessarily paying close attention to before, I just want to give you a little bit of an idea of who Dan Lipinski was. So he's a Democrat, bear in mind. He declined to endorse President Obama back in 2012. So it wouldn't even matter. If it was his first race, it still makes no sense that he's endorsing him. But this is the incumbent Democratic president running for re-election. He sets out. He's not interested. Dan Lipinski voted against the ACA and opposed same-sex marriage until the Supreme Court ruled to make it legal in 2015. So he held out as long as he possibly could. And just as a little bit of background, just give it a bit of an idea of where he's coming from. Lipinski has represented the 3rd District of Illinois since 2005, when he took over for his father, Bill Lipinski, who first won the seat in 1982. Now, look, this is American politics. That's a thing that happens. People inherit seats. We have effectively a sort of loose aristocracy in some seats. But this is a guy who, he was handed this seat. It's deep blue. Primaries were the only way that he was ever going to lose. And so he became, I guess, who he actually was. A horrible, horrible Democrat that never should have received the institutional backing that he did. Now, in this race, he received a little bit less of that. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, of course, has insisted that there shouldn't be a litmus test on topics like abortion for Democrat candidates. In this cycle, while she visited the campaign offices for instance, Henry Cuellar, she did not lend the same assistance to Lipinski. And so, like, it took until this race, not in 2018, but this race, for finally them to say, you know what, I think maybe a line has to be drawn. that if you go too far, we're not going to support you. But take a look at those two races, because she was very supportive of Henry Cuellar, going and campaigning for him, helping him to raise money to fend off Jessica Cisneros. So Dan Lipinski is a horrible Democrat, admittedly. He's anti-choice. Look, if you're going to turn against one of your incumbents, that's a pretty good reason to do it. But that should hardly be the only reason. Cuellar votes with Trump like 60, 70% of the time, depending on the month that you look at it. It's a horrible, horrible Democrat. And yet he still received the support of the Democratic Party and indeed its figurehead in Nancy Pelosi. So anyway, look, it would be an even better day if we'd knocked out both of them. But Marie Newman, she fought long and hard for literally years now to take down one of the worst incumbent Democrats in the House. And so hopefully she's going to win in November, and then we're going to have another fighter in the House to join those who won back in 2018. So a little bit of good news at the very least.